when you first open up ChatMate, this is what you're going to be presented with. You've got your menu bar at the top for settings, all your objects, the log viewer, and so on. In order to authorize with ChatMate, you need to click this button at the top in the bottom left corner. This window will pop up. Click the purple Connect to Twitch button. That will open a tab in your browser, which will then eventually kick back to ChatMate and authorize with your account. Just make sure before clicking that authorize button that you're logged into the right Twitch account, and you shouldn't have any issues. To connect ChatMate to your chat channel, click the button in the bottom left-hand corner, and click the same button to disconnect it. But before we do that, we should probably set up ChatMate first. So at that point, you're good to go as far as authentication and your data storage setup, basically. So here, what you can do is take a look at the log viewer, which basically just lets you know what's going on with ChatMate in real time. And if you need to, you can actually hover over this to pause the activity so that you can scroll through and look at something, and then bring your mouse back out of it to unpause. It's signified by the red background there. Here you'll have settings, auto connect on start. Actually, these are all fairly straightforward, and they also have descriptions just in case they're not super clear. So auto connect on start, time zone, pausing log on hover. This will actually toggle that activity or that behavior that we saw with pausing the logging earlier. And some networking options use this parameter as their networking timeout. You can save and cancel your settings using these buttons here. Under manage, this is where all the meat of ChatMate really is. So we're going to go from the bottom up, ending with events. So we're going to skip over events, and then we're going to come back to it at the end. So with raffles, you have a raffle name, whether the item, the raffle itself is enabled, a raffle duration in seconds, a winner count. So 1, 2, 3, however many people you want to win this raffle or be able to win this raffle. The currency that you're using for the raffle, we'll go over those in a minute. Well, hopefully as close to a minute as possible, but probably a lot longer than that, to be honest. Total prize for it, which I currently have set to 100 challenge coins. And then this option is to whether or not you want to split that prize amongst the winners. You have various messages for the raffle. The difference between these two at the end here are, this is the end message if people actually join the raffle. This is the message that ChatMate will give if no one joined the raffle when it ends. For example, I'll actually show you mine here. This is what mine looks like as an example. I've actually disabled the join message. That will tell ChatMate whether or not to say something when people join the raffle. And you'll notice in here, I've got some variables. You get those from the global variables section here. There's a lot of them already, and we'll be adding to this list as ChatMate's development continues. But what we're using is basically the raffles section. So all of these, or any one of these we can use from the raffles object. The way these are laid out as global variables is you have the variable name at the top, and then the line below it is its description. So what you can do is copy that, paste it into your message, and then change whatever's in square brackets. Anything in square brackets delineates the need to be changed to a name, and do not include the square brackets when you're swapping that out. but do leave the curly brackets with the $sign, as I have here. So you'll see in here, I have an example of a variable I've used. I use the prize version or prize parameter or value of the raffle. I can do that by getting raffles.multi-raffle, which is the name of this raffle, including the space and capitalized the same way, dot prize. So that will give me the total prize of that named raffle. One that's interesting that I want to show before I move on is the trigger join value. That will grab any commands you have set up as a trigger to join said raffle, and we'll also be looking at those in a bit later. In order to edit an actual raffle, as I've done here, what I did was click on the raffle and hit the edit button, and it brought it up. You'll notice that two buttons will show up on the bottom right here, cancel and save. They do what you would think they do. I'm gonna go ahead and cancel that, and we're gonna add a sample raffle with just random information. Hit the plus sign to add it, and now it's there. We can go ahead and edit that to see what the raffle looks like, and we can also delete it by clicking on that. You don't have to be editing an object to delete it. You can just select it from the list and do it that way. Also, all the lists have a checkbox next to each item. You'll notice that the checkbox is very easy to enable and disable on accident, and for that reason, I haven't. They don't actually do anything yet. So when this list initially loads in, and you'll see when we get to the events page, items will be checked and unchecked to signify whether or not they're enabled. However, doing this action does not switch their enabled status. As soon as I fix that behavior, then it will. But for now, don't worry about accidentally clicking that. It's not going to change it. Go ahead and close that out. Go up to Philips Hue. Now this is for those of you who have a Philips Hue element, light element, or multiples. You can connect your bridge here. I don't have one, so I won't show it here, but you can link your bridge. Your lights will show up in a list. You can select each light, turn it on or off, change its brightness, saturation, and hue settings from here. And these will also, any lights that show up here will be usable in other areas of ChatMate. Next, we've got hotkeys. Now these, I may rename to macros when I make them more complex, because these are not hotkeys that ChatMate responds to. These are actually hotkeys that you are enabling ChatMate to invoke for other applications. So I'll give you an example. Here is my hotkey for switching my OBS scene, the chatting scene in OBS. So I've named it here, something that is meaningful to me. I set the hotkey. I have it holding it for 100 milliseconds, and the hotkey is enabled. So to make a new hotkey, we name it. We click the set button. The text for the set button will go red, and while that is the case, we can go ahead and start to set up whatever we want our hotkey to be. So if I want it to be like Control S, for instance, I don't necessarily want it to hold, so I'll uncheck that and I'll click plus. So now I have a hotkey that in whatever various application, if it's triggered, will save whatever I'm looking at. Go ahead and take that back out. Next is goals. These are these come with a goal bar, a visual element. So if you want to show a goal towards subscribers, followers, and in the future other metrics in a visual way with the bar on your stream, this will allow you to do that. So similar sort of setup here. As far as the details, got a name and metric. Currently we have subscribers and followers, and then a span for the metric, total or session. And those numbers are grabbed from this right section here. So you've got totals for followers and subscribers. These subscriber numbers will be broken down into more specific things later. But currently it's just all subscribers. And then you have session followers and subscriber numbers. So these here are for your own arbitrary amount of time tracking. You can also change them if you need to. Click save down here if you want to change them, or reset session if you want to reset both the follower and the session, the followers and the subscribers session variables. Down here, you've got the bar settings. These are the settings for the visual bar that comes with this goal. So the display text is the text that's shown on the left side of the bar. The base color is the background color of the bar. In OBS, in order to see this color, you actually need to change the source in OBS and remove the background color parameter. It's by default, it's set to a transparent color. And if you remove that, it'll actually show the base color you set here. Fill color is the color that it fills up with. Font, pretty straightforward. So is font color and border style. So to set a color, you hit the set button and you can choose from this grid of colors or define a custom color. Setting the font is as you would expect. You've got a full font control system here, or dialog I should say here. And this will bring up any fonts that you have installed on your system. You can preview your goal bar by clicking this button here. And of course, when you're done filling it out, click the plus sign. Let me actually show you an example of what my daily sub goal looks like. And I'll bring up the preview, and this has just brought up a little browser window, and obviously it looks a little odd, so we'll resize this. And I've done it this way so that you have full control over the size of the goal bar. Next, we'll look at giveaways. Here's what my Star Citizen gift card giveaway looks like. It's obviously enabled, has a name, also has a description. The currency I'm choosing to use for the giveaway is tickets. Limit user entries. This is a limit on how many entries a single user can have for the giveaway. The checkbox is whether or not you actually want to use a limit. Entries on start. This will give all users this number of entries, in my case tickets, when the giveaway starts. And this checkbox again is whether or not to do that. These two are whether or not you want to have ChatMate wipe this currency for everyone when the giveaway opens and when it completes. Or when it completes, I guess I should say. And here are your messages for the giveaway. This is the message when you open it. This is the message when you close it. This is the message each time you draw the giveaway. And this is the final message for when you complete it. Giveaways work in a little bit of a different way than you might be used to. So you open the giveaway, you then close the giveaway, and you can continuously draw it and then complete it at the end when you're done with it. And what's different mostly about that is it's all done in chat, and so everyone is usually synced up really closely in chat, so you shouldn't have to worry about issues with desync as far as announcing the ends of a giveaway and things like that. Next, we'll look at currencies. We're going to skip over events for now. So here, you've got your currencies. I have my challenge coins here, which are my earnable for hanging out sort of typical currency. I've called them challenge coins. Each new user to my channel gets 10 of those. And here are my reward timer settings in this box. I have the timer enabled. So every 5 minutes, they will earn one more challenge coin. And the recipients of this reward timer, I've chosen at this point to be the chat. Anybody who's in chat. All users, it will give it to everyone that's ever stopped by your channel that ChatMate knows about. And chat users will give it to everyone who's currently in your chat channel, whether or not you're online or offline. These further options will come along when when I get them working properly. So we'll look at my tickets. They're a little bit different. What's different with ChatMate is you obviously don't have just one currency to mess around with. You're actually also in charge of your tickets currency that are used for giveaways and the like. So this is an example of kind of how to set up something like that. Mine does not have a timer on them, so no matter how long they sit in my channel, they cannot earn these just by hanging out, and each new user gets one for free when they first show up. Next, we'll look at counters. These have a text file, each one of them, attached to them. You can look under your data folder, under the counters folder, and you'll see a matching named text file there for each one of these. Pretty straightforward. This is what my 30Ks counter looks like. It's really not much as far as options here. You kind of just name it. In the future, it has been suggested, by the way, to add, a lot of suggestions have been made that I haven't mentioned, a lot of features and fixes I haven't mentioned, but one I'll mention now is in the future, you will have a section here where you can tell ChatMate exactly what you want it to write in the text. Because right now it just writes the number by itself in that text file, which works out, but in the future you'll be able to format it however you want to. Now, here's a fun bit. Events. Events are where everything in ChatMate kind of comes together. And they're a little bit complex, but for a reason. They allow you scalability and flexibility that, at least in my opinion, is non-existent in other chatbots. So we'll take time to go over everything here that I can in detail so that everything makes sense. That's kind of the whole point of making this video to begin with. So on the left, as you'll probably expect, a list of my events. And then in here, we've got the event details outside of the boxes here. So the event's name, stream status, which can be online only, offline only, online and offline. So this is how you tell ChatMate when you want this to run, whether or not the event itself is enabled as a whole. And then pick one random action. We'll pick one of these actions out of the list at random, only one, and do just that one thing. So here, let's set up a basic command that will respond with a hello. So we'll look at our triggers. We've got nothing yet, right? We'll actually name our event. Let's say hello. We'll just name it something simple for now. And if I were actually want to test this right now, I would actually want to switch this to online and offline, so I could go and test it in my offline channel after creating it, just to make sure it's working. First option here is trigger type. So far, we've got a lot of different trigger types in ChatMate, and we're just gonna continue to get more and more based on whatever is needed. So what we need for this one is actually just on chat command. I want to enable this trigger. I don't want it to be mod only. A global cooldown. I don't really need a global cooldown for this, so we'll set that to 0. And that means that different people can all call this basically at the same time, and it'll respond to everyone. User cooldown is a per user cooldown, so I'm going to say different people can all call this command about the same time, but the same user can only call the command every 10 seconds. These are both in seconds. Trigger text, it'll be, so this exclamation point is kind of here just to let you know that you don't need to put the exclamation point in here. So this is the actual trigger text that ChatMate will look for this trigger. Here you can tell ChatMate whether or not it's case sensitive. So if I were to type it like this instead and select case sensitive, they would need to type it with a capital H for it to work. In this case, not really particular about that, so we'll leave it alone. Currency cost, you can make commands cost a certain amount of currency. So you can tell it which currency you want it to cost and how much of it. I don't want it to cost any currency. Currently, if you select a currency and you change your mind, you'll need to clear the trigger and start over, because there is no, I have not yet added a checkbox whether or not, signifying whether or not you want to actually use that. That'll be an upcoming version. Here is a filter by users. So this would be a, you can delineate or delimitate it by commas for multiple users if you need it. Oops, that would be like user 3, I guess. Or you could just do a singular user, doesn't matter. ChatMate will split it up with commas if you need multiple users. But for us, I don't need to filter it for any specific users. Everybody will get a response from hello. So we'll add that. And then what we'll also do is make it to where, let's say somebody chooses to say hi instead. Set it to 0 global cooldown as well. We'll add that as another trigger. So these two triggers being in the list for this event means that if somebody types exclamation point hello, or if they type exclamation point hi, either one of those triggers will bring this event up to be executed. And what gets executed are these actions down below. So for our sample event here, we just want ChatMate to respond with something simple. So we'll say hello at user.name. So I've used another global variable here. This one's all the way at the bottom. User.name, and this would be the user object comes from whoever typed the command, whoever triggered, whoever caused whatever trigger is getting us to execute the event. That's who the object, that's how the user object would be based on. So here we're grabbing their name and we're just saying hey or hello, and we have this action enabled, and we'll click plus to add that. And let's say we want it to be able to respond with like a few different options, right? So we'll add another one for hi. I'll copy that, add that, copy it, and then we'll make another one for like hey, add that. Okay. Now, obviously, we don't want ChatMate to respond with hello, hi, and hey, all three. So we'll tell it, okay, pick one of those at random and only do that one. Now that we're done with this, we can hit the plus sign. It'll add it to the database, get our list back, and you'll see now we've got our event here. So if you want to edit a trigger, you have to actually edit the event itself. Select the trigger, click edit. Select the action, click edit. So right now you'll end up with a few different, a few sets of cancel and save buttons. You'll notice you've got 3 different sets right now. At the current moment, what you need to do is hit all of the save buttons that appear that are on your screen from top to bottom in order. These 2 can be done in any order, but you need to click save, save, and then save at the bottom. If you only save the event currently, the way the logic works, it will only save the event itself and not the triggers and actions within it. So be careful with that. In a future version, I will make it to where if you hit the bottom save option, it will just inherently save whatever current triggers you're editing or action you're editing. So that was a pretty simple command, or event rather. I'm actually going to go ahead and remove that one just so I don't forget later, because these are my actual events list. This doesn't even, all these don't even touch maybe 10% of what ChatMate's capable of. And I've already got all that. Just don't get too overwhelmed, and don't try to set it all up in one sitting. You're going to hate life, I promise. So let's go over some more trigger types. We've got on-client join for when ChatMate joins your chat channel. This is what I use for the ChatMate is now available message when it joins. On-user join and on-user part. That's for when users join and part your channel. Twitch takes a while sometimes to send these messages to ChatMate, so just be aware of that. It can take sometimes a couple of minutes. On timer elapsed. This allows you to set up events on a timer for ChatMate. The global cooldown will show up basically for every trigger type, so just kind of ignore that. This is in seconds, and the timer interval, which, oh, that's a typo, is actually in minutes. I should add that. So if I were to set this to 2, that would be that would signify as a trigger. If I were to add it, every 2 minutes, trigger this event to execute. So we actually don't need that. Boom. And actually, there's another thing here. If I were to have something set up here as an event or whatever, and I change my mind, I could hit this clear button. Okay, so the next options are on-stream, online, update, and offline. No options for these, but these are just whenever these events happen for your stream. On follow, similar thing, but you can filter it by users. On new subscription, resubscription, gift subscription, and a non-gift subscription. Again, no options for these, unless we discover we need some. On cheer, so when somebody cheers in your channel with bits, there are some options here. You can choose to basically give it a minimum threshold, a maximum threshold, or some sort of range. You can also filter by user names. Next is on bits badge unlock. So when someone in your channel unlocks a new bits badge, same thing here. You can signify which level here, and it's not limited right now, so you'll have to just be aware of that. And then again, filtering by usernames. Next is on channel points redemption. So these are those cool items that you have in your channel points stretch, hydrate, things like that. So you can have it to where it'll respond to any item and filter it by names, or you have some filtering options. And these are filtering on the channel points reward object itself. So you can filter it by the item's name, the item cost with a range or thresholds, or user input. So this is if you're prompting a user to type something in when they redeem the reward, and a combination of either the name and user input or the item cost and user input. Next we have sound alerts detection. Similar kind of filtering here. So this one will trigger on any sound alerts detection. We can also filter by the sound alerts item name and the item cost. This will probably also get a username filtration option soon. On user first stream message is intended to trigger when a user types a message for the first time in that stream. Obviously filterable by users. So this, for example, can be used for an auto shoutout feature. On extension bits purchase, this is for an upcoming extension for ChatMate called Bits for ChatMate. It allows you to set up different buttons on an extension, on a panel extension for your Twitch channel that allows users to spend bits to trigger actions in ChatMate. These are filterable by usernames and by item name. In the future, this will actually just be a drop-down that will be pre-populated with your items because ChatMate will know about that. But for right now, you'll have to just type the name in here. On client part, this is for when ChatMate leaves your channel, and on raid for when somebody raids your channel. That's pretty much it for triggers as far as this point in ChatMate's development. Next, we're going to go over some action types. So first one obviously is send message. Then we've got a trigger raffle action. Select the raffle name and which action you want to take. These are pretty self-explanatory, I think. Next, we've got convert currency. This is what allows your users to quote-unquote buy tickets, for example, or just otherwise convert one currency to another. So this, you're telling it to convert, for example, 10 challenge coins to 1 ticket. And there are success and failure messages. Currently, the failure message actually isn't used in Logic, so don't be alarmed if that doesn't show up. Next, we've got long text to file. You give it a file name and tell it what text to log to the file, and it will do that. You'll find this under data, files. And it's not overwriting, it's actually adding to the file, so be aware of that. Trigger stopwatch action. These are currently not saved to cloud storage in the version that we're looking at right now, but in the future will be, so these will return null values at the moment, but will be working again soon. However, to use them, you give it a stopwatch name here to use, and then you tell the stopwatch either to start or stop. And this is also in, make sure to check in global variables if you're ever wondering, because there might be an object for it. So like stopwatches do have an object. So it's stopwatches dot the name of the stopwatch, and then you can grab the hours, minutes, seconds, or the amount of time in text, which is a metric that has become popular due to my tendency to fall behind in chat. Edit counter is next. So here we can select which counter we want to interact with. We'll choose the deaths counter, and we can increment it, decrement it, or reset it. Next, we can invoke a hotkey. We just select the hotkey here and add that. Pretty straightforward. Trigger giveaway action. Select the giveaway by name and then tell it what to do. So open, close, draw, or complete it. And these will also trigger those messages. Just like with the raffle actions, I didn't mention it, but any messages that you have tied to these actions will be triggered as well. So you don't have to add a send a message action. Trigger currency action. This is a way to either give, remove from, or otherwise set the amount of a certain currency for users. So we can select the currency name by currency by name, challenge coins. We'll say we want it to add in this case. So we can add, subtract, set, and reset. We'll have it add. And then affected group, use parameter or use param is asking whether or not you want ChatMate to use the values that you type in chat in the moment, or to use a predefined group to affect. So this is the difference between typing exclamation point, whatever the trigger text is for adding coins. So mine would be add coins, a space, all 10, for example. Or we could do add coins in this way. So if we want this trigger here, add coins by itself, to add 10 challenge coins to everyone in chat right now, then we would have that as our trigger text for the command. And here we would say add. We want to predetermine it for chat. And this is similar to setting up the reward timers on the currencies. All is everyone that's ever stopped by your chat. Chat is everyone who's currently in your chat channel. And users allows you to specify users by name. So here we want it to give it to everyone in chat. And we want to tell it to give it everyone 10 of each. 10 to each. Now, if we wanted to allow us to just on the fly determine who to give the coins to instead, we would then tell ChatMate just to use the parameters, and then we would type those in later. We could also do a combination of this to where if we wanted to just say add coins 10, we could say we're not going to give a parameter for who to give it to. It's always going to be chat. And we can also go the other way, so that add coins chat will always add 10 coins to whoever you specify. So chat or all or a specific user. Next, we've got enable disable event. This one's kind of neat because it actually enables you, or allows you, I should say, to enable or disable other events that you already have. One thing to note about this, and I'll show you what in a bit. Actually, let's test this. So, one thing to keep note of is that when you go to do this, if I add a new event now, when I go to select an event here to enable or disable, you'll see it won't show up. That's just because the logic only loads this information the one time for this dropdown at the moment. I will fix this later. Just know that you need to close the events window, open it back up again, and it'll be there. So say we wanted to disable this event, we would just select it, uncheck the enable box, and add that. Next, we've got set Philips Hue light power. I should get rid of this event there. Set Philips Hue light power. So it's a bit of a mouthful, but what this allows you to do is select a light by name, and of course I don't have them here, So they're blank, but you would select the light by name and tell ChatMate whether or not to turn it on or off. And then the one below that is for the hue. Same thing, select the light by name and give it a hue value. The last one currently that we have under actions is delay in seconds. So here you can tell ChatMate, okay, between these two actions or whatever it is, or after, wait 5 seconds after this command is triggered, whatever the case, you need to use it for, there are delays in here that you can add to your list of actions as well. And that's pretty much going to do it. I'd like to thank everyone who's helping me test ChatMate for doing so. It really helps a lot. You guys help me find a lot of problems and issues with ChatMate that I just can't and wouldn't have otherwise on my own. And thank you for everybody who has also financially supported me in the development process. I really appreciate it. It means a lot. Makes it possible for me to focus the amount of time that I am on this application and turn it into what we all kind of want it to be. I hope this video has been helpful enough in your journey setting up ChatMate. Again, I would really recommend not sitting down at one time and doing it all. It's gonna be a long day, and you're gonna be irritated with ChatMate at the end of it. But thanks for watching this. I hope it helped. Let me know if you guys run into any issues, as always, using the issue reports channel, suggestions in its channel. Quality of Life, I believe, has its own channel as well. And yeah, happy testing.